Sam and Bibi are back with the recent release of Death Stranding Director's Cut, where a new mystery in a nearby abandoned facility has revealed more information about the past of one of our dearest characters in the game, Fragile. In this new episode in the Deep Dive series, I'm going to explain what the secrets of this factory mean, how does it impact in the overall story, the surprising details about Fragile's past, and the completely unexpected connection between her and the man that she hated the most, Higgs. Hideo Kojima's mystery begins to unravel as Sam receives a new request by Die Harman to go for a missing cargo discovered in a ruined factory nearby the distro center west of capital Knot City. As he returns during his constant travels after the facility lockdowns have been lifted thanks to the assistance of the Bridges team, Sam discovers the hologram of an old woman and the remains of a lab that held an obscure purpose. This abandoned facility was once part of the BB research program where multiple BB prototypes were sacrificed in the ongoing research by Bridges Corporation. But why do we never knew about this place? Actually, we did. There is a slight hint of the existence of this secret facility hidden in the mountain delivered to us in a very subtle way before the failed escape attempt by Cliff, where Die Harman, who acted as a security officer, mentions the presence of a new facility where BB was going to be relocated. Die Harman issues a serious warning to Cliff about what will happen if he lets Bibi and her wife get relocated to this new facility.
They're moving your son to a new facility tomorrow. You'll never see him again.
This place is probably where the foundation of the Chiral network was being developed, and Sam, with his powerful dooms, was a perfect candidate to experiment on in this attempt to bring back America altogether, at least in Bridges' eyes. But with the location of the facility in such a complicated spot, this is where the most important element in the Death Stranding comes into play, the porters. In a series of interviews that become accessible later after completing the related missions to this abandoned facility, we get to know the story of a couple of porters. Both of them fell in love and had a child. Her name was Fragile. Trying to endure the harsh life of the post-apocalyptic future, both of them collaborated with the Bridges Corporation by delivering packages all over the country, especially in this region and to this specific top-secret location. The goal for both of them was simple: to give their daughter a better future in what seemed to be the best plan available, trying to help reconnect America back again. But their collaboration came to an unexpected halt as the porters discovered, probably by mistake, the truth about the precious cargo they were transporting, the BB candidates. In the different documents and holograms that we analyzed, we get to know that this advanced research facility was supposedly the idea of Bridges Corporation Vice President, without the approval of Bridget herself. But never in the game is there a mention of this supposed Vice President, as we always see Bridget herself heading the progress of the BB program in Sam's and Cliff's memories before and during the accident. Once the porters knew the truth about the BBs, they tried to refuse to continue working together with Bridges. Fragile's mother took a complicated decision and left her daughter and husband, leaving only her missing as a memento of their relationship and adopting a new identity, Coffin. Even with this important piece for Fragile to remember her, their connection was never strong, as Fragile perceived that it didn't feel like something that happened to her, but to someone else, not a tragedy of her own. Her father said that she'd understand one day the sacrifice of her mother, but she never actually made peace with her thoughts, as she always considered her mother's actions as sacrificing her family. Coffin, who had a military background in her youth, traveled all over the country, recruiting and training porters so they could hold their own against Bridges when the time came, as we can see in this memo. With a mighty group assembled, Coffin raided the Bridges BB facility on top of the hill to try to save the unborn children. In a desperate attempt to hide the truth, Bridges demolished the site without any regret for all that would be lost. Researchers, guards, babies, mothers, and more perished. Few of the now labeled terrorist group survived the blast, including Coffin herself and a BB candidate that we can see in this photograph right here. Coffin took this child under her wing and raised her for 5 years while using the remainings of the facility to try to regroup and continue their efforts against Bridges. But the chiralium in the area affected everyone. It wasn't too long before Coffin discovered she had terminal cancer, and one by one, the members of her group died, including the little girl at the age of 5, being the leader the last one standing. This is the moment when she recorded the hologram, and is the message we find. But who was this recording originally aimed for? Fortunately, there is a clue hidden in plain sight in Coffin's message, The name Peter. Now, here's when things become more interesting because the following interviews that reveal the true identity of Peter are only available after defeating the nightmares in any of Sam's private rooms across America. Why did Kojima hide this information away? Why not give these two as a reward for completing the main missions in the first place? I really don't know, but what we find here is really crucial to make Coffin's sacrifice come to a full circle. Peter, the one that Coffin is desperately waiting to find his message hidden in the depths of the abandoned facility, is none other than Peter Englert, better known to everybody as Higgs. But how is this possible? Well, even before the director's cut was released, Kojima pointed to this reveal in the teaser trailer. Right in the cutscene where we see the terrorists roaming around the storage section of the lab, we get a close-up of one of the perpetrators. If we look closely and analyze this suit, we can see that it resembles another one that we've seen before, especially during one of the most memorable cutscenes in the game. The one where Fragile walks in the rain. That's right, these guys are exactly the same ones, or at least from the same group that served under Higgs during the South Knot City incident. Peter has such an important role within Coffin's organization that she trusted him with protecting the thing that was most important to her, her own daughter. But as we know, Higgs' actions throughout the game contradict the petition within this message left by Coffin. The question that comes to mind here is, did Coffin ever reveal her daughter's identity to Peter? Or was this message the revelation that would give a clue for him on who to look for? We can see a couple of photos in one of the final room's desks where we can see Coffin and Fragile's father, and even a portrait of Fragile herself. If she carried this around, it was probable that Peter saw both at least once during the time he was serving under Coffin's orders. But after the BB facility incident, Peter was free from Coffin's orders. He never hated her. In fact, he supported his visions of a bridges-free America. But in his own words, he had his own mission. Once he knew about Coffin's group's destiny, he laid low pretending to be a porter on his way to the west, and the rest of the story, well, you know it. He formed the Homo Demons and tried to achieve his goal of triggering the Death Stranding after being tricked by Amelie. But thankfully, Sam and Bibi had other plans. And that brings us to the end of the video of the deep dive series for Death Stranding. If you're a PlayStation fan, be sure to check out this playlist right here where I talk about other PlayStation titles like Returnal. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later on the B-side.